get that care every year because it really does make a difference in your wallet, your overall wallet, and your health, which is much more important. Welcome, listeners. Today, we're pleased to welcome Kim to the podcast. Kim focuses on diversity, inclusion, and organizational development efforts. While she focuses on developing talent and making our family of companies a great place to work, she has been sitting side by side with healthcare industry insiders for more than 20 years. And as the mother of 2 boys, we know she has some experiences with the healthcare system.
Welcome, Kim. So glad you could join us. You have a really unique seat at the table when it comes to health plan benefits. Sort of like Jolene and I, you're not paying claims or coding systems or answering customer service calls, like that kind of nuts and bolts of all the work, but you're engaging with all the people who do, just like we do. So we are interested in what you have learned at work and how that influences the way you use your benefit plans. So what do you know now that you wish others knew?
Oh, that was a great question. And I started to think, I've been with the family of companies for 23 years, and I was trying to think back, like, gosh, what didn't I know then that I know now? And it was interesting when I was thinking about it because I came from a medical device manufacturer. So I was thinking medical industry. So how hard could it be, right? The transition should be super easy, medical. And it really wasn't. It's a completely different industry. And in thinking even about, how I used and what I knew about healthcare then and now, I think the biggest lesson is to make sure that you are always up to date with all of your preventative care services. And I never was, ever, not with anything other than the dentist. Like the dentist was my thing, but other than that, never. And now recognizing and being on the inside of how much it can cost, not just, the insurance company, but you personally, if you put things off and it becomes catastrophic. And then, and sometimes even irreversible if you wait too long. So I think that's been the biggest learning.
What was the reason that you put it off in the past? Was it fear? Was it just time management? Like what were some of the reasons, or a reason?
Total fear, Jolene. Total fear. I hated the doctor. I even hated when they use that little instrument on your knee to test your reflexes. I couldn't stand it.
I wanted one of those when I was a kid. I wanted to bang everyone's knee and see if I could make people kick involuntarily. That's the best.
Oh my gosh, I hated it. You would have to chase me around.
I would totally have chased you around as a child.
Oh, tormenting. Yeah, no, I hated it. And I hate needles. I, to this day, can't even watch anything on TV that has needles. I close my eyes. My boys laugh at me. But now, as crazy as this sounds, I actually look forward to getting my blood work once a year.
Yes.
Crazy, right? I still can't watch. I apologize to the phlebotomist whenever I go. I'm going to swear. I'm sorry. I just don't like needles. I apologize if I say anything mean. I'm really sorry. And they're very understanding. But I look forward to it. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
No, it's funny because my husband's big into reading the lab work with me. And I'm like, what's your bun? He's like, ooh, what's your bun? What's your creatinine or whatever that is? Yeah, I like looking at them, but I also feel like 20 years ago, did you get the same even paperwork on it? I don't know. I don't remember having thinking about having access to that stuff. I don't know if it's because I've gotten older, would this have happened anyway? Or is it because I'm watching all the reporting coming out about how plans trend and people trend and the value of preventative care just from a long-term, sitting within the industry and watching kind of you're more in tune with it in a different way besides I don't like needles and I don't want to go because amen to that.
Right. Yeah. No, you bring up a really good point, Sarah, because you're right. Who knows? Maybe I still wouldn't have really, enjoyed going for my annual blood work or my physical exam. But I do think, again, that was one thing that I did learn, how important, not just going to your your primary care once a year for preventative care. But then even your OBGYN, if you're a female, for your annual breast exam or whatever it is. But knowing your numbers is also super helpful. And to your point, maybe, generations ago, I don't know if my dad was focused on numbers, and you're right, maybe we didn't get the same data, but I now have those conversations with my sons so that they can also keep an eye, and I can keep an eye on their levels too. Like I watch their cholesterol, I watch their, sodium, I like, the crazy mom, but I think it's a good learning for them.
Yeah, it's getting into those routines, because really it is. And we've mentioned that, I think, on a previous episode, it's just the insight that it provides. Mm-hmm. And as you get older, genetics start kicking in, and lifestyle choices and all of that fun stuff that you don't want to face sometimes. So it is, it's that magnifying glass kind of into your body, just to tell you what's going on.
Well, Jolene, it reminds me of Dr. Sharif even saying, like, at the end of the day, and Pete kind of mentioned this too, he was the only one who knew all of the things that were going on in his life at that moment, like all the other doctors he had seen or all the other tests he had done. And Dr. Sharif sort of said, like, you having that information about those numbers is helpful to you too, because if you go see other doctors, or you can be more engaged in your own health. So I feel like, I joke about our bun, but no, we seriously like compare the bun levels, because I don't even know what it means. Like, and Kim, like you, like I have no interest in this stuff. I did not want to be in the medical field except for beating people with a hammer. So I don't think I would have paid attention to any of that in the same way without being around people who are talking about those things all the time.
And, that's a really good point too. So two things. I know for me personally, if I wasn't going for my annual preventive care visits, just recently, my doctor noticed that my TSH levels had consistently gone up over the last 3 years. And even recently kind of felt a little off, but just didn't think much about it, right? Like, yeah, I'm tired, or maybe feeling a little down, or experiencing a little bit more hair loss. And then when I went to her and she said, well, let's check your thyroid. These are symptoms of a hypothyroid. I would have never put those two things together. And so I thought it was super helpful. But to your point, though, Sarah, too, it's also being more in tune to your body and listening, whether it's physical or mental or emotional, right? I mean, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and even going for your regular visits and having conversations about what's going on with you, emotionally or mentally, is super helpful, where those conversations, to your point earlier, didn't occur 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. So true.
And even, Jolene, you made the point about having 2 boys. I'm super aware of that. And so I make sure I have those conversations. And my older son, in school, like a lot of kids his own age, struggled a little bit, right? And so encouraged him to have a conversation. Thankfully it wasn't anything serious, but if it was, I was glad that he at least had the conversation so that we could have taken a different course of action.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to read up on, what the numbers obviously say, but you brought up mental health, which is huge. And I often wonder, and I'm not dogging social media because I am a consumer and user of social media, but when you talk about spikes in anxiety, especially among the younger populations, all of that information is at your fingertips all of the time. And it's almost, Dr. Google, right? Like you start saying, I don't feel good. And then it goes to, I have cancer, because you're Googling all of your symptoms, and that's getting in your head, right? So I have to wonder, and I'm sure there's studies out there, but, with all of the amounts of information that we do have access to, if that can spike issues with mental health as well. So instead of just getting your blood drawn, talking to your doctor, who is well-versed in those areas, and can provide an expert opinion, as opposed to WebMD, which we've talked about in previous episodes, right? Jumping the gun and
really good at it.
yeah, and spiking and having an impact on your mental health when you read things that might not be applicable, but online it says so it's true, right? So it's an interesting thing to think about when you think about, the actual results of your blood work, what it means to your body.
Mm-hmm.
Just because something might be elevated, it might not necessarily be detrimental to your health. It might just mean something else, right? So we try to connect the dots, I think, naturally as humans. But when you actually go in and talk to your doctor and say, here's what's going on, they can connect those dots for you in a professional way.
Well, and then having Kim, like you're saying, if you start to do the routine visit routinely and you get that blood work every year, now you've got a point of comparison, even if it's just for you. So in a well year, the results are fairly stagnant, but you start to notice something, and then this, blood work might show something else. Then it can kind of point you in, like you're saying, Jolene, less of a Google direction and more of a like, oh, there's actually something here that's a variant from what it was. But yeah, it's all those $0 visits.
Yes.
Get them all in.
Get them all. And even if there are a few, like I would even encourage regular dental and eye exam, because those can also bring awareness to some more serious medical issues too that you might not find. And you typically don't go to all those doctors, right? Your PCP, your dentist, your, eye doctor all in 1 month. And so if something is happening, it gives you some different point in time references too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point.
Do it all.
Yeah, so they all connect.
Yeah. I get torn between like the oil change analogy when you bring the car and just make sure everything's all right. And then like the Wizard of Oz when I go in and I come out like the lion with my hair all curled, my nails did. Head to toe.
Yeah, right. It gives you a sense, even if something is wrong, at least it gives you a sense of comfort knowing what it is versus, wondering, and to your point, Jolene, going on, social media and trying to find it out, because you can find contradictory information, right? You go on one site and it says you have cancer and you're dying in 2 weeks. And then the next site says, oh, you just need more sleep, right? So there's contradictory information out there too. So go to a professional, right? Your PCP, that's what they're there for.
And just go. And so many people, there's a few people in my life I know who avoid doctors out of fear. And then it becomes, I always just think of a tooth. If you've got a cavity and you don't get it filled, you're going to lose your tooth eventually, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to get gum disease or whatever. So it's just those baby steps. So if you just go, and it seems so easy for some of us to say, just go. What are you thinking? But, realizing that people have a true fear of that, if they can work through that and just try to get that care every year, because it really does make a difference in your wallet, your overall wallet, and your health, which is much more important.
And like I said up front, I think I would not have been as comfortable going every year. I totally would have avoided it if, I didn't work for a company who encouraged preventive care visits.
Yeah. And Jolene and I were talking about setting up speed dating with doctors so you can find like your best fit. My dad goes to the VA. I swear those people are the only people that could make him get anything done because they know how to talk to veterans.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. We all connect differently. Yeah. We all connect differently. There's even friends that we have, right? Some people love them, some people hate them. It's how we connect with those individually. So it's important to your point, to find that person that you're comfortable with.
Yeah. And it's okay to change. It's okay to change PCPs.
Yeah. Yep, it is totally okay.
Good for everybody.
It's not a hard process.
No.
Good stuff. As always, thank you, Kim. This was great. Yeah. Great insight.
No, thank you. This was great. It was fun talking to both of you.
This podcast is brought to you by Nova Healthcare Administrators. We're continuing to record podcasts because no one has stopped us yet. We're learning a lot of great things ourselves, and we want to share what we know with all of you. And between our colleagues and business partners, we know a lot of kind, smart, and thoughtful people who we convince to share their tips with you.
As always, don't forget to leave a review, give us a like, or subscribe, but more importantly, share. We'll find the insiders, you share it with the outsiders. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much wherever you are finding podcasts. If you have a topic you'd like us to address, let us know. You can find us on Twitter at UNDR The Coverage, or send an email to podcast@novahealthcare.com.